All right, what's up, everyone? Happy New Year, and welcome to the first episode of the I Love Changing Lives show in 2019. And I'm wearing the appropriate top today because realistically, this is the truth when it comes to what are you willing to do to achieve what you want. Now, before we focus on the biggest things that I want you to be able to gain this year to create the level of success and business that you want, I want to look back onto 2018 and what the biggest takeaways and the biggest lessons that I personally learned myself throughout my entrepreneurial journey, but also that I saw my clients learn through the success they created, through some of the challenges they face, and also through a lot of the people that come to us to get started with our program, where they're at, the things that they are saying, what's going on in their lives, and what to do with that stuff to create the level of change that you want. So I'm going to go through my list of the biggest takeaways from 2018, and I hope there's some on this list that will resonate with you, help you in some way, or maybe even just tweak the way that you think about things a little bit differently. So let's dive in. One of the biggest things that I learned this year, and I think it's vital when you are looking at the whole context around time, all right? I always used to say things like, you're only going to get X amount of time, and time is all you're ever going to have. It's the only commodity that you're never going to get anything more of or any more of it, right? And what I realized this year is, yes, time is one of the most valuable resources that you will ever have. But for me, it's not necessarily the most important aspect of that whole conversation. For me, what I've learned is it's the energy and focus of that time that is more valuable than time itself. Because a lot of people have time, right? There's 24 hours in every single day. There's 168 hours or whatever it is a week. And most people work 40 hours. Right? That's the typical working hour. And we know as entrepreneurs, we tend to work more than that. But what are you doing all the rest of the time? Right? But it's not just what are you doing, it's what are you dedicating energy and focus towards? Because sure, I've got my training time, I've got time to sleep, right? But what are you doing in the in-between time? Like, where is your energy and focus going? And is it going in one laser-like direction so that over time, you're going a mile deep in one direction rather than going a meter deep in 50 directions? All right. And hopefully you'll understand that context. So for me, it was really getting clear on what the core or the critical 5% of tasks are that I need to put my energy and focus in with the time that I have, so that consistently over time, I'm generating the results that I want. I'm not just staying busy, or I think I'm being efficient because now I'm multitasking. No, it's about being effective. And being able to be truly effective means that I'm focused on one thing at a time, not multiple. And then I can go deep into that one thing to move it forward on a consistent basis in line with what I'm trying to achieve. All right, so hopefully you resonate with that, because time is great, but we also waste a crap load of time. And the cool thing is, I don't know if you guys have seen, and whether you're listening to this on podcast or video, I'll try and explain what I'm talking about. But on most of the iPhones now, it tells you what your screen time is. It's like an app that's on there, right? That automatically tells you at the end of the week what your screen time is. And I remember looking at it probably 2 or 3 months ago when I used to look at Facebook newsfeed, and the amount of hours a week was just stupid. I couldn't believe it. I think it was like 5 hours a week. It was telling me that I was like on my device and I was checking things. Now I'm lucky if I register an hour, right? And that includes sometimes obviously being on there to film things, doing lives, everything else. So for me, it's we waste so much time. And is that time dedicated to what we really want to be focusing on based on what it is we want to achieve? Or are we just thinking we're busy because we're spending time doing something? All right, for me, there's a big distinction, and your results are going to be a direct reflection of that distinction. This one, I put nice and early on these points because I've really seen this. I've seen this in my business. I've seen this in my clients' businesses. I've seen this in our lives on a personal level as well. All right, fire friends and clients that you no longer enjoy spending time with as quickly as possible. Now, I'm not saying you need to give up on everyone that sometimes is a bit of a pain in the ass. But if somebody isn't on the same mindset level as you, if somebody, especially in your circle of friends, they tend to look at things, let's say from a scarcity mindset or perspective or a lack, or you talk to them and every time you talk to them, they're complaining about what didn't happen or what did happen, or every time you're talking to them, they're telling you some story about themselves that was a reason why they couldn't do something, right? And they might be the loveliest people in the world, but you've got to remember, again, you're dedicating time and energy and focus wise. What are you spending that time on if you're around people that don't add to your life? They don't add value. They don't challenge you. They don't make you think differently. They don't open your eyes to different perspectives. They're not, I don't like to always use the word on your level, but in some ways they're not pushing your level forward. They're not adding to your personal growth. All right. And with clients, it's the same. If you're having the same conversations with clients and they're giving you the same BS stories and they're giving up on themselves, and yeah, we want to be there for people, but am I wasting too much time and energy and focus on somebody that's never going to do it for themselves versus being able to put that time and energy into a larger group of people who will? All right. And you've got to understand that we always have that choice, but sometimes you got to take a step back to realize that you do have that choice. And man, my circle of friends and people that I will talk to or spend time with is getting narrower and narrower and narrower and narrower. But the group of people that I have in my life add a ton of value to my life. I love having those people in my life. They push me, they drive me, they support me, they want more from me. They hold me accountable to my bullshit stories. And to me, I think that's critical for any entrepreneur, because you're not at work, you don't have necessarily a whole bunch of employees. And if you do, again, are those people adding to your life or taking away from it? Right? And you've got to look at, again, what do I want long term? Where do I want to spend my time, energy, and focus to achieve what I want? And is this stuff taking me further away and distracting me more than adding to where I want to go and, driving me? Cool? This one's huge. And man, I can't tell you how many times over my life, those of you who've been following me for a long time will know that I've done this multiple times, right? But it's aim big, like really big, and fail fast. All right. Like sometimes you've got to take a risk, and the risk has to be big. And sometimes the best part of that risk being big is the fact that you're going to fail really quickly. Like something's going to go wrong fast, right? You're either not going to have enough money. You're either not going to be generating the outcome that you want. Something's going to break. A result will happen quickly, whether positive or negative, right? Maybe it was worth the giant risk and you got a huge outcome. Okay. But there's a result quickly. And the thing I love about failing fast is it's not about me, oh no, I failed quickly in my ego or my pride or any of that crap. It's more about, okay, cool. Now I can course correct. I can see that created that type of result. That's not the result I wanted, or it is the result I wanted. So I'm either going to go that way or that way. I'm either going to add more to that and keep going down that path, or I'm going to flip the script and go down that direction. All right. But it's tangible. I can do something about it. When you're not willing to take those risks and you procrastinate and you think about it, or your risk is so small that it's like this little miniature and minuscule progression in a direction, it's going to take me months to work out whether or not I'm going the right way or not. I say jump big, go for something huge, and fail fast. Course correct quickly, take your ego and your pride out of it, and just realize that that's how you learn. You cannot create success without failure. The two are directly correlated. And if you're not willing to fail, then you also need to not be willing to succeed. And that might seem like a harsh reality check, but it is the truth. You ask anyone who's achieved massive success in their life, no one did it without some level of failure at multiple different points throughout their journey. All right? But you have to decide which one you want to hold on to. Do I want to drive forward towards success, or decide whether my failures are going to be my reason for doing something or not? And I'm going to be connected to my failures more than to the direction I want to go in and what those failures have taught me to move forward and achieve more. Okay. Next one here, I did a whole episode on this. Okay. And if you haven't been listening to my episodes and you want to go back and listen to them, I'd highly recommend it. I only do one a week, right? So most of them are between 25 to 40 minutes max. Okay. And what I talked about in one of those episodes was the billionaire thinking, the billionaire mindset when it comes to business. And that's one of the biggest things that I really learned this year, is that if you look at every billionaire or somebody who's earning, let's say at least, a few $100 million a year, they have big companies, they're doing incredible things. They have a very distinct approach to business, a very distinct mindset when it comes to the way that they structure their business, their role, and their time, energy, and focus. And it looks like a T, okay? And the reason why it looks like a T is that they have a great awareness and understanding about all things to do with their business, right? But like a T goes straight down, they decide to dive into and laser-like focus on one thing or the one aspect of that business that is going to help them create the greatest amount of success, or that's more in line with where their superpower lies, right? Their unique ability. For a lot of entrepreneurs, it's either going to be in the creative space or it's going to be in the operations space. They tend not to mesh in the middle. We tend not to do both very well at the same time. But what we tend to do as a typical entrepreneur is we think we can handle everything, and we think we can go from creative to operations, and that we'll move everything forward because we're getting it done. Whereas you got to understand that, again, it goes back to being efficient or effective. And the way the billionaires tend to operate is they tend to make sure that they understand every aspect in their business, every department, every role, in a way that they can make quick decisions, adjustments, put out fires, be able to identify gaps in the shortest amount of time possible. Because as soon as they can do that, they can go back to going down on that T. They can go back to diving deep in that one area of their business or that one area of their own personal abilities to keep developing it if it's adding to the end result that they're trying to achieve. They're not trying to be excellent, and they're not wasting time doing all of those things. Their time is focused on one thing, but they have the level of awareness, understanding, education, and perspective to be able to solve problems in each of those areas, to be able to optimize what's going on in each of those areas so that they can keep going down that one area and move things forward, so that they're not getting distracted and losing days putting out fires for other people. They can identify that's wrong, talk to the person who's responsible, get them to solve it based on knowing how to solve it in the shortest way or the shortest amount of time possible. And then they get back to focusing on what they need to focus on. And that's key. If you go back to what we talked about of the value of energy and focus over time, if my energy and focus is being pulled in all these different directions, I'm never going deep in one direction. I'm just going forward in little bits with all these different directions, and nothing's really gaining any momentum. All right. Whereas these guys, they have the understanding and the mindset to be able to shut down those distractions, answer those questions, come up with solutions and perspectives needed in order to get back to what they want to spend their time doing. And if you look at what they spend their time doing, it's normally one, max two areas. That's it, right? They're not experts in terms of time dedicated to all these other areas. They're experts in terms of understanding and outcomes and perspectives and solutions in all those areas, but they own one thing and they dedicate time, energy, and focus to that on a consistent basis, right? Free from distractions and everybody else's bullshit, which we're going to talk about here too. Next one. This one's huge, all right? And there's only one way for me to really explain it, but it's become obsessed with your vision and let go of the past. The amount of people that we talk to, and at the moment, I mean, I'm talking to sometimes 10, 15 new people inquiring about our program a week. All right. And the amount of people that say what they want, but then tell me stories about their past, that this is why this has happened and this is why I'm where I am and all this other stuff. Okay, great. Cool. Good awareness. But are you going to spend more time telling that story? Are you going to become obsessed with what you want to create? You're going to become obsessed with bringing that vision to life regardless of what you've been in the past or what's happened in the past or how many failures. Cool, that's added to you as a person and as an entrepreneur, and it's added to your knowledge base, right? I love hiring and working with people that have failed, as long as they decide to focus on the vision and let go of the past, because they've gained lessons that most people will never gain if they're not willing to fail. But if you stay there and you own those same stories and you own the past as if it's part of who you are, sure, it added to where you are right now in your life, but who you were in the past has nothing to do with who you could be in the future. Nothing to do. You can decide at any stage to do something or be someone that you want. And some of you might go, oh, that's a bit fluffy, but man, I've reinvented myself so many times and I've seen so many other people do it. Right? And at some point, you got to decide again, where am I going to put my time, energy, and focus? What am I going to become obsessed with? Because stuff from the past is going to come up again. Old belief systems, old conversations, old friends that you didn't fire that you should have, right? Old clients who tell you the same stories over and over and never achieve the result that they want. Those things are going to be there. Are you going to let them dictate where you put your energy and focus? Or are you going to become so obsessed over here that that stuff doesn't even matter anymore? Let go of it. You don't need to carry it around any longer. All right? This is a big lesson for me. And I shared this, I think, 2 weeks ago? I did a whole episode on this as well. But why social media is costing you greater success. And I shared in that, I think it was the last episode I did, how I got caught up in the whole world of recognition, significance, fame, authority, all of that bullshit. All right. And I say bullshit and I put my hand up saying that I was there, thinking that I need to be posting 5 times a day, that I need to have the ultimate content plan to be able to add value to all of these people. And that people just need information. I need to provide them with as much information as I can, right? Because that's going to help them build a relationship with me. They're going to get to know, like, and trust me and ultimately buy from me. Nice story. And I used to believe it until the data showed me completely the opposite. That again, I'm wasting time, energy, and focus trying to make other people happy and just adding to the noise that's out there on the internet right now, especially on social media, becoming addicted to that instant gratification of likes, notifications, messages, DMs, comments, shares. Like, this stuff is fantastic. People are really resonating with my content. It's so great. But the data didn't back it up in terms of results. Did it move my businesses forward at the level I want? Was it predictable and scalable in terms of growth? No. Did it take up a whole load of my time? Yes. Did it, and even in some aspects, create anxiety because I didn't think I was doing enough to keep up with everybody else? Hell yes. All right, that whole comparison is the thief of joy, right? Looking at what everyone else is doing and seeing, man, that person gets X amount of likes, I need to be doing it. And here was the critical aspect. Am I deciding to be student and client focused, or am I trying to be externally focused? Because if you're externally focused, you're the person who's creating 15 or 20 stories on your Facebook page. Look at my selfie, and today I was here, and look at my dog, and then my new shoes, and then, if you stop what you're doing to do that, let's say you do it 10 times a day, right? Human research has proven that if you stop what you're doing at any point, it can take between 30 to 40 minutes to get back to the level of focus and concentration that you had. So if you're stopping 10 times a day, that's 10 times a day. You've got to add another 40 minutes, or let's say even 30 minutes, to get back to the same state of concentration and focus that you were in. So again, is it in line with where I want to be putting my time, energy, and focus? Is it allowing me to go a mile deep when it comes to being student and client focused, to create the best programs, to create the best experience, to help my clients achieve the level of results that they want to and need to? And if it's not, you have to take responsibility for the fact that you're getting caught up playing the social media game, listening to marketers telling you need to be on all these different channels, and I need to make sure that my content is everywhere so everybody sees it. All right. But what you've got to realize is it's not going to move the needle forward. If you're an ad agency and you need to be running ads, or even if you're running a business and you need to be running ads, 100%. I have no argument there. It's a great vehicle. That's where people are. So of course we want to advertise where people are. But if you're only adding to the noise and you're wasting time and you're dedicating hours a day to creating content and editing videos and putting this stuff up there, and if it's not generating more clients, if it's not bringing people forward, if it's not scalable, if it's not duplicatable in the way that I can't train somebody else to do it, I can't get a team member to do it, I can't outsource it, I can't scale it by teaching others to do it the same way, because maybe they don't have the same gift as you in front of a video camera, or maybe they're not as articulate as you, whatever, right? Then you have to understand that it is a massive distraction, and it's tied back to that whole sense of instant gratification. Whereas success in life and success in business is more about delayed gratification than it is about instant gratification. It's the people that are willing and prepared to play the long game, to set massive visions and work back from that systematically on a weekly, daily, month-to-month basis to move the needle forward, to get closer to bringing that massive vision to life. And if I'm wasting time daily on playing the social media game, how much time, energy, and focus can I dedicate to my vision? Well, if my vision is to be famous, great. I know a whole lot of people that have massive YouTube channels, that have massive social media followings, that do sweet FA, all right, when it comes to predictable growth. And I'm not going to name names. It's not my job, right? Again, it's not my place to judge. But I know a group of people, and for me, it's just great context, that they are the most charismatic people that you will ever meet. They just have that natural attraction as human beings. And they've started a coaching business, and they have other coaches. And looking at the way that they're trying to teach the other coaches to find clients is all based on their social media strategy that has worked for them because of this level of charisma that they have. But it's not scalable, it's not duplicatable, and it's a massive distraction for a lot of people. And it's the worst part is that we think we need to keep up with the Joneses. So we spend time not just doing this stuff, but we spend time learning it and researching it and trying to get better at it. And we buy this course and that course, and we go to this event and that event. And it's great to add to your knowledge, but again, is that knowledge in line with my vision of what I want to create and move forward? Or is it based on other people's vision of what I think I need to be doing? And you have to have that level of filter right in front of everything that you do at all times. Otherwise, your life is going to become more about other people, or waiting for other people's significance and recognition, or to watch what they're doing and then maybe I'll model them, rather than in line with what you want, with what your students or your clients need in order to achieve the level of success you want. So for me, it's huge. I know I went on that one for a long time. I did a whole episode on it, breaking down each of the aspects of it. So if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to it. But the next point here backs that up 100%. All right, is that you want to, again, going back to that time, energy, and focus, cut out all of the distractions and spend as much time practicing, and I mean like diligently practicing, the art of getting into flow, or getting into what I call state. All right, it's being able to, how would I explain it? Maybe like an athlete. Like you see some of these guys, it's like time stands still for them, right? They could be all these things going on in the field. Maybe they're the quarterback, right? And they're getting rushed by all of these different guys, or maybe they're playing soccer and everyone's coming after them, but they always seem to have more time than everybody else. They always seem to see what's going on within the field. They pick out the person in the gap. They're able to do things that people think are superhuman. But yet, if you break it down, if you've ever watched any of the Michael Jordan or the Scottie Pippen or any of the Kobe Bryant documentaries, these guys talk about this stuff all the time. It's getting in flow. It's getting in state. And they do it by cutting out all the stuff that they no longer need to focus on. And then they dedicate all of their time to honing their skills so that they get better and better, and they can stay for even longer periods of time at their peak level of state or at their peak level of flow. All right, I normally think about it flow in terms of work, right? Like sometimes I'll get to the point where I get up in the day, I do what I need to do in terms of my exercise, my health, I spend time meditating, and then I can knock out my entire day in 2 to 3 hours, and I don't need to work again. But during that 2 to 3 hours, there's no Facebook, there's no phone, I don't have any notifications going on anywhere. Nothing is going to disrupt me because I know that the more that I can stay in that flow state, the more great ideas I'm going to come up with, the more ways I'm going to be able to think from my client's perspective and create things that are going to help them even more, right? And I'm able to stay down that track for 3 hours deep. And you compare that to what I talked about before, about the fact that it takes 30 to 40 minutes to get back into any level of concentration and focus, and you're doing that 10 times a day by adding to your story. I'm sorry, but you got to stop lying to yourself and saying that success is the most important thing to you, or creating the vision is the most important thing to you. If it was, that's where your time, energy, and focus would be. It wouldn't be on selfies and look at my new thing and here's my back and here's my tattoo, and it wouldn't be. That shit is a distraction. For who? Who benefits, right? If nobody clicked on it and nobody liked it and everything else, how long would you do it for? Probably not very long. Or you do it because you think somebody's told you a long time that eventually somebody will like it, and we think we need to keep up with them, so we'll do it anyway. Put that time, energy, and focus, cut out the distractions into the things that are going to allow you to stay in flow and in state for longer periods of time. And what you will be able to achieve, how effective you will be, the level of productivity and outcome you will achieve is massive. And the best part that I found through really, really working on that, and I'm always working on it, I'm going to always commit to getting better at it. When you're finished, you have space. You can breathe. You have time to think, because you don't give a fuck about who's notified you on Facebook and any of this other crap. I don't even have it open anymore. I don't even have a news feed anymore. All right, because that stuff's irrelevant to me. It's not going to help me create what I want. So I'm not going to dedicate any time to it at all. Right? And it's really key when you're able to have that space, because now I can reflect back on what I achieved in that flow state, what I was able to do. And then afterwards, I've got space to dedicate to other things, to go back to the gym, to train myself, to spend time with my kids. And I'm not worried about all the things I think I need to be doing. I'm just there. I'm present. I get to enjoy those moments so much more at a deeper level, which is what I love. And for me, it's when you make the switch, you'll start to realize just how much more space, how much easier you breathe, how much more you're able to achieve in a shorter period of time, which just opens up even more opportunities for you. And there's no anxiety around any of it, right? Because it's in line with what you want to achieve. It's not in line with what anybody else tells you need to be doing or keeping up with, right? That's the key filter that you need. Okay. This one's pretty quick and easy, right? But stop wasting time in frustration and reaction, all right? The amount of times that I hear people go, oh, I'm so frustrated with my situation, or I was so frustrated that this happened, and then they react based on their frustration, and then it takes them another 3 to 4 hours or a day, or they're pissed off, and they didn't achieve jack shit, right? They spent the entire day being distracted based on what frustrated them, and then their reactions to that frustration, rather than looking, do I need to be even holding on to frustration? Frustration is such a wasted emotion, right? Like we waste so much time and energy staying in frustration when it ultimately doesn't make you feel better. Or if you've reacted to somebody based on your frustration or a situation, it didn't make them feel better or the situation any better either. It just causes more frustration. And then you both stay in frustration, or you stay frustrated with the situation or the outcome, and you don't do anything to move it forward. And I've been working on this little tactic for a while now, and I don't know why it works. I think it works because it completely switches the action that you're taking. And again, for you to change emotion, you need motion. But if I'm ever in a state of frustration, I instantly try to recognize it and then do something proactive, right? Like sometimes I'll be here and something won't be working. I mean, like, fuck, I remember 8 weeks ago, it took me 10 days to get any of my 5 Facebook ads approved. Landing pages, edit copies. Like I'm talking all day, change. And eventually I put them in for review and they got approved, right? But like this was a 10-day period. And when you're spending what I'm spending on a daily basis, like it's, money I'm not spending, which means it's leads and people I'm not talking to. And it was easy for me to stay frustrated there. But what I started to recognize is, again, this is a wasted emotion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to go make the bed. I'm going to go do the washing. I'm going to go and do the dishes. I'm going to go back to the gym now and go for a run. I'm going to go for a walk and put in an audiobook, right? I'm going to completely flip what I'm doing and go do something proactive, something that's going to make me feel good or accomplish something. And instantly you'll just see that frustration disappear. It's gone. It's not even in my mind or my focus anymore. And again, then I've done something proactive. I'm now in a better state. I can come back and get into flow. I'm not going to waste any more time in reaction and frustration. Again, like you can see the whole theme of this, guys, is just keeping you in your lane as tightly focused as we can. All right, this one's mandatory, like honestly, and if you're not doing this, I would question you as a person, or at least question the stories that you've got around it, because the whole I don't have time and I'll wait till that's happened and then I'll do it and everything else, it's a story. Sorry, but it's a story, right? Like if you really, really wanted to do it, or someone was going to pay you, or the world was going to blow up if you didn't do it, you would find time. You just haven't prioritized it. You'd rather own the story than own the action, right? And it's that black and white. You can argue with me, but I've seen it too many times and I've done it myself too many times to know anything different, right? Like for me, if I see the outcomes every time, it's hard to argue with that. And I'm sure if you dedicate time to this, you'll also see the outcomes, especially if you can let go of the past and the stories. But put more time into growing yourself every single day. And when I say more time, right now, if you've got 10 minutes and you haven't been spending 10 minutes working on yourself, cool. Start with 10 minutes. But tomorrow, do 12. The next day, do 15. The next day, do 20 minutes. Then do 25. Then do 30, right? I dedicate a minimum of 3 to 5 hours a day on me. 3 to 5. If I have to do other things, if I have appointments, if I got free calls, if I've got back-to-back coaching calls or live Q&As or sales calls or anything else, sometimes I'll have 8 hours of calls. Do I skip my 3 to 5 hours on me? No. If I have to get up at 3 in the morning to get it in, I get up at 3 in the morning. Does it mean I don't sleep as much that day? Yes. Do I give a fuck? No. Because I'm adding to me and I'm moving forward in line with what I want. If I'm on holiday, I couldn't eat well because that happened, or I couldn't train well because that happened, or I couldn't get my food planning because that happened. Who's in control here? Right? You got to understand that your schedule doesn't dictate your actions. Your actions dictate your schedule, your time, where you put that energy and focus. And stop lying to yourself that it is any other way, because it's bullshit. It's not any other way. And until you're willing to take responsibility and change that story, don't come crying to yourself or your partner or anybody else that you're not achieving what you want, or you're not feeling better, or you haven't moved forward in the life the way that you want to, or you didn't hit your goal, you're not leaner, you're not fitter, you're not wealthier, you're not in a better position because you've been doing the same things and expecting a different outcome. It's not going to happen. For things to change, first I must change. And if you're not dedicating time to yourself every day, and if that amount of time isn't increasing, then again, it's going to flatline. If all I can ever dedicate to myself is 20 or 30 minutes a day and I never stretch that, I never push that, then that's where your level is going to stay. Imagine where your level would be if it suddenly became an hour and a half, 2 hours. It's like if I can only work out once a week, what are my results going to look like? If I can start working out 3 times a week, what are my results going to look like? If I can start working out 6 days a week, what are my results going to look like? It's the same when it comes to your personal growth, but some reason we put that on the back burner. It's not important. We create stories. For me, this is the most important part of being an entrepreneur. The level of growth and success you achieve is directly related to how much time and effort you're willing to put into growing yourself. Hands down. There's no other way to even look at it. All right. Again, this one's in line with that. All right. Stop talking about what you want to do. Like, stop talking about it. Stop talking about that you want to spend more time reading. Stop talking about the fact that you want to get in shape. Stop talking about the fact that this year you're going to get lean. Talk does nothing. All right. It's the actions of doing it. Just do it. What's the worst that could happen? All right. Like literally, what's the worst that could happen? What I can tell you, the number one reason that most people feel stressed, and I've shared this many times, is because they're not doing what they want to be doing or what they told themselves they would do. That causes the number one level of stress and anxiety and frustration and overwhelm in all human beings. So why waste time and energy feeling those emotions? Why not just fucking go do it? Like, just do it. Get up earlier, find the time, go do it. Save the money, don't eat the food. Get your ads up and running and keep them up and running, even if you have to do it yourself. Like, all of these things, stop talking about it and do it, right? And we think that that's such an easy concept, but yet why are you still talking about doing those things and you haven't done them, right? The results don't lie. You're either in shape or you're not. You're either in a better financial situation or you're not, right? Your business is either growing or it's not. Right? And there's lots of things we can talk about that we want to do, but until you're actually doing it, you're never going to get a result. And I'm not saying that result is always going to be a good result, but at least by doing it, I'm going to get to a result. And once I get to that result, like I talked about earlier, now I can do something about it. I can course correct, I can adjust, I can increase my amount of time and energy and focus, whatever it might be. Stop talking, start doing. All right? Be the best at something regardless of competition, all right? And I talked about this before, so I'm not gonna go over it too much, right? But become student and client obsessed, right? Often people think that to be the best means that I need to show up and look the best, or I need to be seen as an authority, or I need to have all of this success attached to me, or I have to have all of this social proof of everybody that I've been able to help. How does that work if you're brand new in a niche? Or how does that work if nobody knows anything about you, right? That's never gonna work. So is that a reason why you're not able to help them? No. But if you don't own something, if you're not the best at something, and if you're not student and client obsessed and focused in terms of giving them the best experience and helping them get the best results possible, regardless of you and anything to do with you, but all to do with them, then they're not going to care about the other stuff either, because people don't care about your status. People themselves care about status, but they don't necessarily care about your status if they feel like you can help them achieve what they want. If they can connect with your methodology, if they like you to a certain extent, and if they know or they believe that you're able to take them from where they are now to where they want to go. And you have a clear process to be able to do that. Right? If you can be focused on that end rather than the other end, you're always going to stand out. But for you, decide what that one thing is that you're going to own. What is it that you're going to do better than everybody else? Because if it's cookie cutter shit and it's somebody else's model, or it's, you haven't owned anything, right? You don't stand for anything. You don't have a clear vision for your business. You don't have a clear identity for your ideal clients that your business is designed to help best, then you're never going to own anything. And then you're going to wonder why your business isn't growing, or why you haven't achieved what you want to be able to achieve at the level that you want it. All right. Because you don't own anything. All right. So decide what that is for you. And then again, dedicate time to it every day, honing that skill, doing what you need to do around that one thing, so that you can own it better every day, right? Like, I have a program at the moment that literally I refine weekly, right? It's been running now for almost 4 or 5 months, 6 months actually, the new program. But every single week I'm refining it, I'm adding to it, I'm changing videos, I'm redoing things, right? Because for me, I know that if I can help people achieve what I want for them within that 8 weeks, and if I can help them do it faster and faster and faster and faster and enjoy the experience even more, then everything else is going to take care of itself. And it becomes very easy for me to position what I do, very easy for me to market, very easy for people to be able to connect and how I can help them best. Because they can see from the inside of my program out how it works, but then externally, it becomes very easy to show them exactly how I'm going to take them from where they are now to where they want to go, without the BS, without the fluff, without any of that other shit. You want to achieve this outcome? Cool. This is how we're going to do it. Let's go. All right? Keep things simple. Success and failure is not exponential. Okay? For me, It's a great lesson for all people to learn, right? Like people that think success and failure are linear, right? Like I do something, maybe I drop one direction. I do something better, I go up in a direction. We think that it's linear, and that over time, if I keep doing the same things, I'll achieve a positive outcome. If I don't keep doing the same things, I'll achieve a negative outcome, right? We don't ever think about the fact that it's exponential, it's not linear, right? Sometimes in a click of a moment, your life can completely explode. Shit can go massively wrong, right? Like, and it can feel like there's no way out. And it didn't suddenly happen, or it didn't happen progressively. Like I'm sure there was a compound effect that led to it, right? Or there was little highlights along the way that you could have course corrected. But ultimately, sometimes shit will go wrong and you've got to deal with it. And it's how you deal with those outcomes or those results that really ultimately identifies who you are or your potential as a person. But then in the direct opposite, success is also exponential, because sometimes I can be doing something and feel like I'm getting no result at all. And I see this in exercise. I see this in business all the time, right? Like I'm doing things right. I'm creating this back-end program, but it's just not moving forward. And then suddenly in a 2-month period, bang, their business gets another 100 clients, or their income goes up by another $10,000, $20,000 a month, or they find a team member that they didn't think was even existing out of nowhere. And now they've got 40 hours a week to focus on the things that they need to move themselves and their business forward, right? Like it's never linear. It's always exponential. Even if it feels sometimes that there's no progress, it doesn't mean that it's not coming. Doesn't mean that you should stop doing what you're doing, which leads me to my next 2 points here, that consistency trumps everything. Regardless of what you think, if you can't stay lasered in, if you can't go a mile deep in one area of your life or your business, right? And you can't do that on a consistent basis, you're never going to achieve the level of success that you ultimately want. Because it's always going to be a stop-start relationship. And then if you compound the results of that stop-start relationship, it's always going to be less than if you just kept going. If you were the tortoise instead of the hare, right? And you just kept going and kept going and kept going and kept going, the compound effect is massive. But you've got to be able to, one, be okay with delayed gratification, that what I'm doing now, I might not see a result for the next 12 months, next 2 years, next 3 years. But I'm okay with that because I know these actions are directly in relation to what I want to achieve. So I'm just going to keep doing them. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care about the time. I care about the energy and the focus. And I'm just going to dedicate my energy and focus to bringing to life what I want, right? And when you can do that on a consistent basis, you can outrun any single human being. Any other competitor will never be able to compete with you, because they're all after the quick fix. They all want the instant gratification. They all want to have everything right now by pressing a button, and they're not willing to develop the skills. They're not willing to practice getting into zone and into flow and becoming more effective and channeling things to be more proactive than reactive and frustrated. They're not willing to dedicate the time into growing themselves to be who they need to be at that endpoint, to even have that level of results and to be able to handle them and grow even more from there. And then they wonder why they get there. They don't have that level of fulfillment, or it blows up in their face, right? Like these are all life's lessons that it's trying to teach you along the way to become a better person and a better entrepreneur and business owner. But you've got to be able to dedicate that one thing that will always trump everything, which is consistency. Another quote that I love this year, and I've got written up actually right here on my desk, all right, is that sacrifice is the fuel that drives success, all right? If I can sacrifice the instant gratification and I can dedicate the time, energy, and focus every single day consistently, regardless of whether I get that instant gratification or not, what I'm going to be able to achieve is going to be exponential compared to somebody that's just after the instant gratification. But it's going to take a level of sacrifice. It's going to mean not eating out. It's going to mean not drinking alcohol. It's going to mean not going to certain parties. It's going to mean dedicate time to training when I could be sitting on the couch and watching Netflix. And it's the same in business. It's going to mean I'm going to have to invest in advertising. It's going to mean I'm going to have to dedicate time to making my program better, to be doing all the things that I need to develop my staff, to develop my system, to develop my process, to make the people in my business better, and then to also dedicate the time to making me better so that I can become a better leader and help them grow even more and inspire and connect with even more people. All right, like that's the stuff that most people aren't willing to sacrifice. But again, I'll read the quote: sacrifice is the fuel that drives success. You can't have one with the other. Like I said before, you can't have success without failure. You can't achieve the level of results that you want without a level of sacrifice. And it's this we can have it all mentality or bullshit that we believe now, because marketers tell us that, hey, you can have it all just by clicking this one button or buying this one pill or putting this magic cream on you, right? You can have it all. Bullshit, right? The level of success and results that you achieve will be directly connected to how willing you are to fail and the level of sacrifice you're willing to make short term or even over the long term to end up where you want. And for me, that's key. I mean, even choosing to be in this country, being away from my kids, not being able to see them at least 50% of the week like I used to, right? And knowing that they're going to be away from me for 6 months a year, like that shit hurts me on a daily basis. But everything I am doing right now is to sacrifice being able to be with them to ultimately create what we want. And part of that is having to be here right now. Means I can't choose to be with them. I could choose to be them, but it's not in line with what I want to achieve, right? I could easily be at both, and we tried that before we moved over here. And what happened is the businesses themselves failed, and I wasn't able to create what I wanted to. I wasn't able to dedicate the amount of time that I needed to move things forward. Whereas right now, everything that we are sacrificing short term will free up and create way more options long term for everybody, for my kids, for myself, for everybody that I work with and help as well. And for me, as much as that hurts on a daily basis, the only perspective I can own around that is that that sacrifice is going to lead to the results that I want. Having to cope with that amount of pain on a daily basis drives me, because that's the sacrifice I'm willing to make to create the outcome that I want. And every time I feel it and every time I get upset, I could sit there and play the victim and feel sorry for myself and get upset, or I can just dedicate even more time, energy, and focus into what I want to create, which is going to free up opportunities all around for all of us. All right? And your life and business is going to be the same in some way, shape, or form. All right, so have a look at how that connects with you. This one, pretty easy. And if you haven't listened to David Goggins' audiobook yet, or I have to recommend you listen to his audiobook, right? But it's called You Can't Stop Me. It's 13 and a half hours long. Just finished it up yesterday, and I'm probably going to listen to it again, at least some sections of it, because it's freaking crazy, right? And you would look at that and go 13 and a half hours long, and you go, oh, that's too long, I'm not going to listen to it. Whereas, look, it took me 3 weeks versus getting through at least one audiobook a week, but I just chipped away at it. It took me longer to chip away at it, but I still chipped away at it. I didn't stop doing it because it looked too big to even approach, right? Again, look at that conversation and that methodology. But one of the things he talks about all the time is that as human beings, we're becoming pussies. And everything is about becoming comfortable. And we don't dedicate time on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis to do what he calls callousing our mind, right? And you guys can probably see, if you're on podcasts, you aren't, but I got lots of calluses on my hands, right? From weight training. I weight train 6 days a week, all right? And in the beginning, if I've had a break for a while, I might create a couple of calluses. I get a couple of blisters, right? Hands rip. And then over time, it hardens and you callus your hands up so that they don't rip again and you have thicker and tougher skin. And again, going back to what we talked about working on yourself. If you're not doing things to harden yourself, to callous your mindset, to realize what is possible, to do things that stretch your abilities or your limitations, you're going to become soft. And you might not want to admit it, but some of the crazy shit you would do when you were younger, regardless of fear or just crazy events or races or stupid things that you would do to your body because you didn't care about it, it changes. You get comfortable. We get comfortable beds. We get comfortable couches. We get comfortable clothes. We do everything, click an app now and it arrives at your door, right? People don't walk anywhere, they drive, or now they get motorized scooters or they get motorized like airboard things, right? Like we don't even walk anywhere anymore, right? We're becoming soft. And one of the things that I took away from his book is that I'm dedicated to doing a minimum of 1 to 2 things a week, either in relation to personal growth or relation for me into physical challenge every single week that is going to stretch me. It might be working for a period of time. Like New Year's Eve, I work for almost 17 hours for the day, but I work for almost a 9.5 hour stint straight. Right? And I can't say I was in flow and state the whole time, but I probably had a good 6 to 7 hours of being in flow. Like I just banged shit out. But I set that intention before that day. I was going to get a massive task done in a short period of time. Sure, I could have said, hey, I'll take 3 or 4 days to get it done. It won't matter. It's all good. But no, I'm going soft on myself if I do that. I'm not building that resilience. I'm not increasing my capacity and getting rid of some of the bullshit limitations I allow myself to adopt because I'm happy being comfortable, right? Physical challenge is the same thing. I set the treadmill on Sunday after tearing my calf muscle and the ligaments of my ankle just over a month ago. I set the treadmill at 45 minutes. I put it on a speed. I covered the clock and I was just going to run until the treadmill stopped, right? And I hadn't done that in like 2 years. Did it hurt? Fuck, it killed my calves. I couldn't walk properly for 3 days. But here, the fact that I hadn't done it in 2 years, the fact that I just gotten over torn ligaments and strained calves, to be able to do it, it just built that resilience in me. Like now it's again, I want to do more, and I probably will do more, right? Once my calves actually recover. But it's all of those little things, like what am I doing on a daily basis to stay harder, to not allow myself to get comfortable being comfortable. Because every time you're comfortable being comfortable, what happens when you're in an uncomfortable situation? It's so unfamiliar, you don't have the resources or the mindset to maintain the perspective and then to turn it into a proactive thing or a lesson. You end up feeling frustrated and reactive, and then suddenly you feel stuck and overwhelmed and anxious and all this other bullshit, right? It all starts here, dedicating that time to not being a pussy and callousing your mind. All right, one more point, and this one's key, guys. I know this has been a longer episode, but I really do hope it's been valuable to you, and I hope you've resonated and connected with a lot that I've learned this year and also how it might apply to you. But create space in your life and in every single day. All right, either journaling, meditating, exercising, going for a walk, stopping, breathing, turning everything off and just closing your eyes and just give yourself the time to create space. We are bombarded every day with 10 million different stimuli. And as human beings, we weren't designed to be so stimulated. And we can't think clearly. It creates a level of fog. It creates a level of anxiety. It creates a level of, overwhelm with too much coming at you for you to be able to just stop and see clearly what it is that's going to serve you best, where you need to channel your time, energy, and focus, what is worth spending time on versus not spending time on, right? And how do you even feel about these things, and what do you want to do with those feelings? All right, give yourself the space to be able to do that. And if you can own that space and create the perspectives that are going to move you forward, regardless of the challenges and obstacles, you're going to get into momentum. And when you get into momentum, like I talked about, success is exponential, right? But how do you think you're ever going to get into momentum if you never create the space to own this perspective that you need to keep moving forward based on everything that's coming at you on a daily basis? And I talked about it earlier when I talked about the fact that you've got this story about how you can't dedicate time to growing yourself on a daily basis. Like I said, if that's the story you want to own, then also be happy owning the story that shit's never going to change for you. You're never going to feel better. You're never going to get to the point where you achieve what you want. And when I say never, like on the whole, okay? I don't mean there won't be glimpses of things getting better sometimes, but on the whole, you might move the needle here instead of going all the way over here. All right, so look, I hope that you guys take everything that I shared with you today. Some of the things, maybe they've empowered you to approach things a little bit differently this year. Next week, I'm going to be diving into what I think you need to focus on this year. And some of the things will be reiterated from this episode, but there's a couple of key differentiators that I've seen change in the entrepreneurial world, especially in the online space, that I see happening and becoming even more prevalent. I want you guys to be able to take those things, take advantage of them, and use them to gain even more benefit and to create the level of results and success that you want. So it's been a great 2018 in terms of the lessons I've learned, some of the challenges I've faced, some of the failures I've made, and the successes that I've created. I'm really excited for this year and all the people that we are starting to attract and help in our new program, and for all of you to be able to achieve your own success stories.